Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I've got two new products from GravaStar that I want to share with you guys. And if you've seen my past videos on these products, you guys know that not only are we just going to be doing a quick review of the products themselves, but I'm also going to be doing a custom repaint of them. I've really enjoyed the past products that I've taken a look at, from the Bluetooth speakers to the Bluetooth earbuds, just because they've been really fun to repaint and customize to make my own. And then they're obviously quite useful products. I love music, so I listen to music all the time, whether I'm at home or whether I'm here building, so I use the products quite a lot, and they're really, really nice. So first of the two new products here is the Supernova. This is their new design for a Bluetooth speaker here. Really cool. This one has multiple lighting modes that you can use with it, which is really interesting. It's got a similar design to the Mars Pro, and then it's on like these three mecha legs, but you can see the top part, and we'll take a closer look at it. Has this really kind of cool sort of like retro sci-fi design there with this kind of glass tube there. And the other one here is the Alpha65 quick charger. Now this, as you can see, is this little kind of rabbit sort of styled mecha design here of just a charger, basically a charging adapter for you to plug into your outlet, and then you can plug in your USB powered devices into this to charge them. So very cool. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at the products, and as always, guys, there will be links to the different products down below. You guys can use my coupon code there, ZAKU, to save 15% off and everything there on the site. And during this pre-sale period until April 9th, if you do decide to pick up the Supernova speaker, then they're going to throw in the Alpha65 charger for you for free as an added bonus. So very cool. Let's check them out. So we'll first start off here with the charger. As you can see, it just comes in this small little box. We got some of the product specifications here on the back right there for you. And inside here, we got just the product itself. Just comes easily packed like that. And then the ears and instructions are right there. So it comes in white and black here, as you can see, and it looks really quite nice. All the details and everything around it. It's got all these mechanical details and all these pre-printed kind of decals and markings on it. The legs have kind of two positions, so they're somewhat articulated, but basically they kind of like lock into place. So right here for when it's charging, and then the prongs just fold down to plug into your outlet. And then if you're not having it in use, you can just fold down the legs and have it just standing on your desk like that, like this cute little mecha rabbit little guy here like that. So you got details all around. This is going to be really fun to paint up just because of all those details on there. But right here on the top, you can see you just have the regular USB 18 watt and then 20 watt and 65 watt USB-C charging points right there for you. And of course, once this is plugged into an outlet, the eyes on it light up as well. So very cool. As for the Supernova speaker, obviously in a much bigger box with this one, and you got some cool artwork and line artwork here around the side. Once again, the specifications are here on the back, but it's going to be a pretty straightforward specifications there for a Bluetooth speaker, and you can kind of see what's in the box there as well. The speaker, the charge cable, auxiliary cable, hanger, I'm not really sure what that's going to be exactly, we'll see, and then the user manual, of course. That hanger, I guess, is this carry handle, which you can install on this so that you can like carry this around. That's quite interesting. I'm not sure if I'll actually use that here on mine. I'll show it to you guys here in just a second though, but that's kind of cool. Over here is also some instructions for the controls. And like I said, there's different lighting modes with this, so we'll try those out. Here is that hanger, and here's like an Allen wrench and screws in here for installing that. And it's metal, so that's really nice. Seems really quite heavy duty. Got our included cables, the USB to USB-C charge cable, the auxiliary cable. And here we are. You can take a look at the speaker itself. Here on the top, you can see where there's some of the buttons, plus, minus, lighting button there. Yeah, like I said, it's a cool design, kind of retro sci-fi. Seems like the kind of like large light bulb. I forget the name of this type of bulb. Anyway, this is a plastic though, not glass, so you don't need to worry about that breaking. It does still look really nice. Here you can see on the back side of the body is where those outlets are. Again, some really nice pre-painted logos and details around here. And this main body here is also plastic, but the legs, just like the handle, are all in metal, and so those legs can fold out. You can just set it down like this, or you fold out, and then these are actually lights here on the side of the legs as well. And it does have little pads on the bottom of the feet so that it's not going to slip around, which is nice. But all right, let's go ahead and kick it on here just with the power button on the top.
Ready to pair. Bluetooth connected.
There you go. This is the first of the 3 lighting modes here where it's just gonna change. It's gonna cycle through a bunch of different colors. Let me actually dim my surrounding lights a bit so you guys can see that a bit more, but you can see on the legs as well, those lights really quite bright. And then we can press our light button here at the top, double click that to change the mode. And now it's just a solid color, and I can press it once to cycle through different colors. So if I only wanted blue, I can make it blue. Make it a darker, like deeper violet blue, kind of pinkish color, so you can make it just a single color like that so it doesn't change. And then if I switch to lighting mode again, this will make it to a camping light mode where it's supposed to simulate kind of the look of just like a flame. As you can see, it's kind of glowing there like that, and it is going to be kind of moving, as you can see there. Kind of looks like it's glowing in and out a bit like a flame, so it doesn't light up like in time with the music. Even if we switch back here to the vivid light mode where it's cycling between colors and stuff, it's not moving along like with the beat of your music or whatever. It doesn't do that, but still just cycling through the colors. I think that looks quite cool there like that. Now to actually try out this speaker, I can't play too much like licensed music here for you guys, but after just testing it out for a few minutes, I can tell you that it actually really sounds really good. So I think I'm definitely going to be keeping this one here in my office. The previous 2 that I have repainted and reviewed with you guys, I've taken those home and I use those at home, but this one I think is going to be the one that's going to stay here with me in the office. So for the repaint, however, I'm going to pull out my handy card scheme file here of Maschinen Krieger color schemes. I want to try something different. I feel like I'm always doing some kind of camo. I want to try maybe just like a solid color or some other different kind of more unique camo scheme than what I've done on different ones in the past. So let me take a look at this here. Maybe something like this could be kind of cool that utilizes some like spots, sort of like a leopard spots kind of pattern, something like that. I want to maybe like one of these, sort of like a Melusine style inspired, more spotty pattern than the kind of typical kind of camo that I've been painting on the other ones. Yeah, I don't know. Taking a look at some of these other designs, I was thinking that I wanted to do just like a solid color, maybe just even look like a space white on this, but now actually having it here in white and thinking to repaint it in like a space white or just like a solid reddish color or a solid yellowish kind of color, something like that. I'm not sure if it really fits the design of this quite well because there's a lot of really nice detail on there. So I think that maybe actually going with like kind of a spotty type of pattern might be good for this, honestly. There's another one here like on some of the Hornets, and then we saw one earlier like with the Fledermaus had a spotted pattern on it. So I think that'll probably be good for this one. Now a lot of times with those, I think the base coat is probably better done by airbrush, and then like the spots are then either hand painted or airbrushed on, kind of depending on which one you're going for. And doing some sort of mix of airbrush and hand brush, you know, may be good for this one, but I think I'm just gonna go all hand brushing for this. Yeah, I think one of these like kind of more spot or a little bit more kind of detailed pattern I think might be kind of cool. So the first thing that we're going to have to do is a lot of masking to mask off all the sensitive parts. So obviously you have to cover all this with masking. The lights on the legs also need to be covered up, and these little plugs and where the speaker is. So I'm just gonna make sure that everything's masked that needs to be covered up, and then we can start on our painting. All right, so for the charger, I've gone ahead and used a dark brown mahogany surfacer here for this. Masked off the eyes, masked off these holes here for where the plugs go. Also masked off just to cover the plug prongs here on the bottom as well. Made a couple of small modifications in that I got rid of the GravaStar logo here on the top, and then right here I covered up just with some vent details just because I thought I would just prefer just to have some more detail there. And then right here I thought would be a really good place to put a decal, so I'm gonna I made that flat where there was the GravaStar logo before, and I'll put a cool decal on there. Also here on the back added these thruster bells onto the back of here just because I thought that'd be a cool detail that looked like it kind of made sense. Otherwise, I also added this little circle detail bit right here on the front, and that's about it. For this one, I'm gonna do a red color scheme. It's gonna be kind of all red with maybe some yellow accents around on it. and that's going to be the painting scheme for that guy. For the speaker, you can see there was a lot more masking required to cover up all that clear part, and then there's some masking tape inside here as well. I guess the main speaker is actually on the bottom. Anyway, as you can see, I went with a black surfacer for this one, and the color is going to be gray with some kind of spotty detail on it. So let's go ahead and get to it. All right, and then once the painting is all done, here is the finished product here on the Alpha adapter. And I'll give you guys a proper look around this, but first of all, just to talk a little bit about what I did, just because I apologize I didn't record any work in progress on this because it was pretty straightforward. Honestly, what I did, there's not really too much to show. I hand painted this all first, just with some SMS paint. I used a combination of anti-fouling red and signal red for the reds to give me some tonal variation on that, and then it was an off-white color that I used here for the white for the faceplate. I didn't realize it until after I painted it that I basically made it an Among Us looking color scheme. That wasn't intentional, but that is kind of how it turned out a bit. You can definitely see a lot of that texture on there, which I think fits with the scale of this really nicely. Now, this is obviously not to any particular scale, but if you can kind of imagine this as a robot, which is probably about the size, I'm imagining it like about half the size of a human, sort of like that, sort of like WALL-E size, I guess, if that makes sense. And I wanted it to look pretty well worn, like it's been outside for a long time, and just kind of that paint, and it's maybe been like touched up, painted, and so the paint's just got some natural weathering in it. So that's a really nice advantage of hand painting. Sometimes is that the texture that you get is actually, and then like the opacity of it, because I didn't paint it super thoroughly everywhere. I kind of intentionally left it like kind of uneven, so then like half of your weathering is already done for you by the time you just have your painting done. Then I applied a few decals here and there, and I wanted to make it look like someone, maybe like a child or people had like put stickers around on this, so it just made it look like they're not necessarily markings, but like stickers slapped around on this machine. So maybe this is like a children's helper kind of machine, something like the Mechatro WeGo, but one that had long been since like lived out its purpose, and now it's like somewhat abandoned or just maybe used for something else. So anyway, it's got all the stickers on there, and then also gave it some ID band coloring up here with some marigold yellow. And then for the weathering, I just used some Mr. Weathering Color Ground Brown for most of it, just kind of like painted that kind of all over the place and just kind of removed that, and that basically acted as sort of like a panel liner and also as a sort of filter over most of the kit. And then I did use some of the Tamiya weathering pigments on this as well to give it some, it's going to be very subtle, but use some of the pigments around the feet just to lighten up the color slightly, just to make it look a little bit more kind of dusty and dirty kind of around the feet, and a little tiny bit of rust stuff here and there. Most notably, kind of where you can see the most is against the white here on the face right there, but there's a couple little like rust spots here and there that I used that Tamiya weathering powder on. So last thing that I did was something that I've never done before, was for the edges, to do like a really subtle chipping effect on the edges. I just used a pencil. It's actually just like a piece of like pencil lead, and just what kind of went over some of the edges. The nice thing about that is it gives you kind of like your black line, your subtle black line that you would want for like chipping on the edge. And the other thing is that it's naturally kind of has like a metallic sheen, right? Because it's pencil lead, so it gives you this nice kind of dark metallic lining right around your edges, and it's super easy to do, especially when you have just hard edges like this. Just go over it with that pencil lead, and it just gives you a little bit of definition. And again, it's going to be very subtle, but I think overall, I'm really happy with how this came out. I think it was a really good learning experience for me to really practice some of those subtle weathering techniques that, you know, this is a good practice experiment for me on some of those to, you know, just kind of try to get better at using some of those products. And then I can take that experience and, you know, hopefully do better on some of my Machine & Krieger modeling, which is kind of the main purpose of how I will generally be using those skills. And this is definitely painted up in a very, or done up in a very Machine & Krieger way, but that's the charger there. And of course it still works, so once you plug it in, the eyes light up and everything, so very cool. Now, as for the Supernova, this one was also quite experimental in the effects that I did for this, or just in the way that it was painted. So this one was also just hand painted entirely with SMS paint. And I started out over the black base doing a kind of dot, using a bright blue color to kind of dot it on there. Sort of, if you guys have seen like the Max Watanabe technique where you use multiple different colors as kind of your base coat, I kind of did that, but only just with bright blue. I didn't really have any good idea as to what I was really gonna do with this. I started putting on the main color. What I did know that I wanted to do was that I didn't want to do the kind of camo pattern that I've done kind of most frequently. I wanted to do something a little bit different. Like I said, I wanted it to be maybe something incorporating some kind of polka dot style pattern. So I put like the base color on there, and then I started putting this kind of green accent on there, and I thought it kind of looks a bit like seaweed. So it looks a bit kind of like a seaweed looking camo. So I thought, why not just lean into that and make it into a kind of underwater robot drone kind of looking thing. And so that was what I went with. So I just kind of started off with no direction, and I kind of found the direction once I started painting, and then added the dots in there as well, just for a little bit more kind of color variation. And since in my mind this was a machine that's operating underwater, I thought I should use some light color. So I did also use some of the ground brown for the Mr. Weathering color on this, just to kind of fill in the dark corners and everything like that, fill in like your panel lining essentially. Then I also used the Mr. Color multi-white to add some like salt staining in there from like the salt water of this being used underwater. So it's the very first time I've ever done that. So I didn't really have a good idea of like how it's supposed to be. I just kind of did what kind of looked like it made sense and just added some of that like salt staining here and there. And as you can see for the decal scheme for this one, I went with a more kind of traditional, it's just like markings here and there. You've got your main number right here, and then it's got a white ID band up here on the one of the bars. But otherwise that's a pretty minimal in terms of the decals. There's just like a few here and there. Here's a look at the top, and you can see some more of that salt staining. I'm not sure if that's the correct word for that, but some of that effect that I added there at the top as well. And so using some of the Mr. Color Mr. Weathering solvent to just kind of blend that in and make it look like it's, you know, just like a deposit of salt from this just being in and out and in and out of the water basically. And then for the final weathering effect on this, I just did the same thing with the pencil. I saw it as another opportunity to try out that very subtle effect, and so you can see kind of like on the edges there, you see that like subtle dark metallic line along the edges of some of these. That's just from using a pencil on there, the pencil lead. So that's it guys. As far as like repainting projects, I'm really happy with how both of these came out. You know, the whole like seaweed camo scheme, I'm not sure, you know, how good that is, but I think it looks pretty cool. And I'm really happy that I had got the opportunity to just, you know, try out something different with the camo scheme for that, and then try something new with that water, kind of, again, like salt water deposit kind of weathering on that is also something I've never tried before, and it's good for like aquatic mobile suits and things like that, anything that's going to be working in the water. So it's a good chance to try out some new techniques on that. And on the Alpha65 on the adapter as well, just really happy with how some of the effects and everything came out on that. That red color was just such, the combination of red colors that I used for that were just really nice to paint. They looked so nice against the dark brown mahogany of that mahogany primer color. The red on top of that just worked perfectly to look like, you know, perfect like red paint on top of like rusted metal. It was very simple. Like I said, it did like half the weathering work for me before I even, you know, finished painting. So I gotta say, of the different GravaStar products that I've done repaints on, these two are probably my favorite so far. So I'm really enjoying these. Like I said, just as products themselves, they're great. I use the speakers, I use the earbuds all the time. Really nice products. And really fun because, at least for me, you know, I really enjoy repainting them. So it's like getting a model kit that, you know, you get to have fun, you know, repainting and, you know, painting up however you may like to do that. And then it's also then a usable product that you can actually use in your daily life, which is very cool. So I had a lot of fun with these. So thanks again to GravaStar for sending these out and letting me try them out, share them with you guys, and then have some fun with these. So again, if you guys want to check these out, the links will be down in the video description below. You can use the code ZAKU for 15% off. And then if you guys do purchase the Supernova speaker before the deadline of April 9th, you'll get the Alpha65 adapter included as well. So you'll be able to get both of these for the one single price of the Supernova speaker. So that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you so much. If you also want to check out some SMS paints, which again is what I use for this, you can check the link in the description as well to USA Gundam Store. We've got all the SMS paints and weathering tools, supplies, everything that you guys need there as well to check out. And of course, all sorts of different mecha model kits and lots of other fun stuff. So check that out. Thank you guys for watching today. If you'd also like to like or subscribe while you're here, leave a comment, let me know what you think. I really appreciate all your guys' support. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.